ओम
Yes.
अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. Okay. सूर्य नाम ते लोका
सूर्य नामते लोका
अंधेन तमसावृतः
देन तमसामृत
तमसावृतः
तांस्ते प्रेत्याभिगच्छन्ति
तांस्ते प्रत्यभिगच्छन्ति
Chante.
ये ये के चात्म हनो जना.
एके
एके
चात्मनो
चात्मनो जना.
Yes.
Should I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Translation. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Human life is distinguished from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. Those who are cognizant of these responsibilities and who work in that spirit are called suras, godly persons. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities and who have no information of them are called as asuras, demons. Throughout the universe, there are only these two types of human beings. In the Rig Veda, it is stated that the suras always aim at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and act accordingly. Their ways are as illuminated as the path of the sun. Intelligent human beings must always remember that the soul obtains a human form after an evolution of many millions of years in the cycle of transmigration. The material world is sometimes compared to an ocean, and the human body is compared to a solid boat designed especially to cross this ocean. The Vedic scriptures and the acharyas or saintly teachers are compared to expert boatsmen, and the facilities of the human body are compared to the favorable breezes that help the boat ply smoothly to its desired destination. If, with all these facilities, a human being does not fully utilize his life for self realization, he must be considered Atmaha, a killer of the soul. Sri Upanishad warns us in clear terms that the killer of the soul is destined to enter into the darkest region of ignorance to suffer perpetually. There are swine, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important to them as ours are to us. But the economic problems of these animals are solved only under nasty and unpleasant conditions. The human being is given all facilities for a comfortable life by the laws of nature because the human form of life is more important and valuable than human animal life. Why is man given a better life than that of the swine and other animals? Why is a highly placed government servant given better facilities than those of an ordinary clerk? The answer is that a highly placed officer has to discharge duties of a higher nature. Similarly, the duties human beings have to perform are higher than those of animals who are always engaged in simply feeding their hungry stomachs. Yet, the modern soul killing civilization has only increased the problems of the hungry stomach. When we approach a polished animal in the form of a modern civilized man and ask him to take interest in self realization, he will say that he simply wants to work to satisfy his stomach and there is no need of self realization for a hungry man. The laws of nature are so cruel, however, that despite his denunciation of the need for self realization and his eagerness to work hard to fill his stomach, he is always threatened by unemployment. We are given this human form of life not to work hard like asses, swine, and dogs, but to attain the highest perfection of life. If we do not care for self realization, the laws of nature forces us work very hard, even though we may not want to do so. Human beings in this age have been forced to work hard like the asses and the bullocks that pull carts. Some of the regions where the asuras are sent to work are revealed in this mantra of Sri Isopanishad. If a man fails to discharge his duties as a human being, he is forced to transmigrate to the Asuriya planets and take birth in degraded species of life to work hard in ignorance and darkness. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.41 to 43, it is stated that the man who enters upon the path of self realization but does not complete the process, despite having sincerely tried to realize his relationship with God, is given a chance to appear in a family of Suchi or Srimata. The word Suchi indicates a spiritually advanced Brahmana, and Srimata indicates a Vaishya, a member of the mercantile community. So, the person who fails to achieve self realization is given a better chance in his next life due to his sincere efforts in this life. If even a fallen candidate is given a chance to take birth in a respectable and noble family, one can hardly imagine the status of one who has achieved success. By simply attempting to realize God, one is guaranteed birth in a wealthy or aristocratic family. But those who do not even make an attempt, who want to be covered by illusion, who are too materialistic and too attached to material enjoyment, must enter into the darkest regions of hell, as confirmed throughout the Vedic literature. Such materialistic asuras sometimes make a show of religion, but their ultimate sin is material prosperity. The Bhagavad Gita 16.17 to 18 rebukes such men by calling them Atma Sambhavitha, meaning that they are considered great only on the strength of deception and are empowered by the votes of the ignorant and by their own material wealth. Such asuras, devoid of self realization and knowledge of Ishavasya, the Lord's universal proprietorship, are certain to enter into the darkest regions. The conclusions the conclusion is that as human beings we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on a tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of material life into which we are placed by the laws of nature. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So, there's a very interesting story that once a priest goes to preach in a mining town in England, and then he meets some miners. Miners are like very low class men, really. They're always digging coal and everything. They're filthy. They speak in a filthy language. They're very hardworking people. Because in the previous days, of course, now the world has changed a lot, but in the 1900s, 1800s and 1900s, and mining was a very tough task. It was very dangerous also. So these men were accustomed to drinking, smoking, making crude jokes, and then speaking in filthy language because the work was so, abominable. So once the joke goes that this priest goes to the town and he says, that if you don't worship God, you'll go to hell. So these miners become very scared. They're simple people. They become very scared. They say, what is hell like? They say, oh, hell, it's underground. It's very dark. It's very smelly, and there's always smoke, and there's a lot of darkness. So the miners say, well, that pretty much sounds like where we are living right now. So it can't be worse than this, really. So the point here is that, there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna, Mamupeti tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. So, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punara Avartino Arjuna. From the planet, the topmost planet of this material world, Brahmalok, down to the lowest planet. These are places of misery with repeated birth and death. No place is permanent in this universe. The distinction of Bhuvan, Bhu, Bhuva, and Swaha lokas. So, Bhura Lok are the lower planets, which are also considered hellish. And then above these are Bhuvaraloka, in which we are living the middle planetary systems. And above us are the Swahalokas or the Swargalokas. Swahalokas are the planets of demigods. They have very high standards of living. People are very pious, and they are divine beings. So the higher the planet, the more is the influence of goodness. The lower it is, the more influence of passion and ignorance. So the topmost planets are inhabited by suras or godly persons, and lower ones are asuras or demons. So it's just a distinction of consciousness. Like if you see an elevator, lift system, you'll see that the lifts, they operate based on a chain system. You press the button, the chain takes you to that place. So you just decide the guna, and you will be taken to that particular place. So on these Bhuvar Lokas or the middle planetary systems, if you live on a sattvic platform, you will be elevated to heavenly planets. If you live on tamasic and rajasic platform, you'll be degraded to lower planets or lower types of consciousness within these 8.4 million species of life. So all these movements are based on the modes we acquire. So Bhagavad Gita mentions many things here. So you see, the Vedas say that Anandamayo Bhyasa. Every living entity is working for happiness. That's the nature of living entity. Anandamay. The living entity, because it's a spirit soul, is meant to be Anandamay, blissful. But In whichever condition it is, it tries to seek bliss. In the rainy season, for example, if you walk on the roads, you might have noticed lots of earthworms crawling. Why are earthworms crawling on the roads on a rainy day? I mean, those who study biology, they can tell you, oh, the soil becomes saturated with water, the earthworm can't breathe, so it has dermal respiration, so it comes out of the hole to get oxygen on the road which is still wet. So you see, even that earthworm, which is a very insignificant living entity, is seeking bliss, happiness. When the soil is saturated with water, it becomes very unhappy. It has to come out. Or if you spray some insecticide, all the cockroaches and bugs start crawling out because they are miserable. They are trying to seek some happiness, some peace and happiness. So they are coming out. Why do people migrate? Indians go to America, Americans go to, say, Switzerland, Africans take their boats and they come to Europe. Why is that happening? Everyone is seeking a better life. That's the attempt of every living entity. Those who are very knowledgeable, they practice Vedic system so that they can be elevated to higher planetary systems. They know that there is no happiness within these Bhuvar planets, this Bhu and Bhuvar Loka, so they go to Swahaloka by performance of yajnas and austerities. But the baseline is that everyone is seeking happiness. Now Vedas do not forbid happiness. Yuktahara viharasya yukcheshtasya karmasu. This is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Yukta ahara, yukta vihara, yukta cheshta. So appropriate amount of everything. Even in this body, there are needs of the body and the mind. So the Vedas do not forbid that. Even though we say that human life is meant for austerity, athato brahma jigyasa, so try to understand Brahma, perform austerity. We say that, but still, it does not forbid happiness. But human beings are meant to live more responsibly. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that the process of happiness in this world is yajna. So yajnas bring rain brings grains, and everyone is happy. But yajnas come from the scriptures, and scriptures come from the Supreme. Therefore, for a human being, the prime responsibility is to serve the Supreme. Savaya pumsham paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahetukya apratihata yah atma suprasidati. Ahetukya apratihata. It should be done without any ulterior motive and without any obstruction. Krishna is saying, yo yo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. One who is serving me, avyabhicharena, without falling down. Such a person is elevated. So that's the responsibility of a human being. So everything has to be done in a regulated manner. Animals can eat anything, but then animals don't have the facility of eating many things. A tiger has to eat meat. By nature, it is designated to eat meat. But not that the tiger can eat some kebabs, or the tiger knows how to make foie gras, or the tiger knows how to make pink salmon. No, he doesn't. Tiger can't do any of that. The tiger simply eats whatever animal it finds. It could be a goat, it could be a cow, it could be a deer, and it has to eat raw meat. It doesn't have the intelligence to set up a barbecue. So you see, so this is the facility which is given only to humans. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha samanyam etat pashubhir naranam dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho. Human beings have this intelligence to adjust their lives. The dog simply has to run on four legs, but human beings have the intelligence to create a car. But this intelligence comes at a cost. Dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho. Dharmena hina pashubhir samanam. Human beings are meant to worship the Supreme. They are meant to renounce this material happiness so that they can be elevated to the spiritual platform. So this is the position. Okay, now one has to understand what is one's specific duty. That is based on the laws of Varnashram. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. Guna and karma. So accordingly, one must take up an occupation which is suitable to one's psychology and physiology and then act under the rules and regulations. Sex life is not forbidden, but it must be done under the institution of marriage. Not that, oh, I find that lady attractive, I'll just have sex with her. Or I find that man attractive, oh, Facebook. Okay, hello, I love you, let's have sex. This is for animals. Dogs do that. Cats do that, but not human beings. If human beings do that, then they must take up the body of a cat or dog. You see, uh, In the corporate system, also, the system of promotion decides who's more qualified to lead. If one is not qualified, he will be demoted also. Okay, now you take this lower position because you are not fit for that. So if one has animalistic desires, one has to take animalistic position also. So if human beings, if they break the regulative principles, meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, then they must go back to positions where these activities are sanctioned, which is the lower species, lower beings of life, aboriginal species, animal species, these things are allowed there. But the higher one elevates oneself, the more there are restrictions because the responsibility is also higher, the privilege is also high. In the heavenly planets where the Suras or the demigods live, you can see the Lord. For example, Swargalok or Indralok, where Lord Indra lives, the Lord is present as Upendra. He is the brother of Indra. He lives there. He comes there to visit. And all the demigods can visit him. They can talk to him. In this Bhuralok, Krishna doesn't come just like that. He comes once in a while. But yes, his holy name is available. But in the lower planetary systems, these facilities are almost completely withdrawn. So there is Bali Maharaj living in the lower planets, this Bhuvarloka. And in the Bhuvarlokas, I mean, he is living there, so he is reminding others of worshipping the Supreme. Lord Shiva, in his special incarnations, lives in these lower planets to encourage these demonic to somehow remember the Supreme. So, whatever position, whatever consciousness one cultivates, one has to take that type of a body. So, here the word uses Atmaha, the killer of the soul. Now, this is something I wanted to discuss a little more in detail since we have already studied the Bhagavad Gita with you. So, of course, I'm assuming that you might have at least gone through as a homework and studied whatever we did once. So you may have some understanding. So in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is meant Arjun and Krishna are talking about the method, the process of Ashtanga Yoga. So Arjun asks a question: Kachin no bhaya vibhrashta chinnabhram iva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmana pati. O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man, being deviated from the path of transcendence, perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? So now we are talking about a yogi or a devotee who gives up his practices. So Krishna says this, answers this, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Partha Naiveha Namutra, Vinashastasya Vidyate, Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschid, Durgatim Tata Gachati. The Blessed Lord said, Son of Pratha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashwati sama shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashto bhijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. अथवा योगिनाम एव कुले भवति धीमताम एतद्धि दुर्लभतरम लोके जन्म यदीदृशम. Or he takes birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world. तत्र तं बुद्धि संयोगम लभते पौर्वदेहिकम यतते च ततो भूय samsiddhau kuru nandana. On taking such a birth, he again revives the divine consciousness of his previous life and he tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So he revives his consciousness in the next birth. So this is what the Gita is saying. But let me also qualify this statement with what Srila Prabhupada is saying. One needs to be very careful. So first things first, here it is said that, one who tries sincerely. So the person who fails to achieve self-realization is given a better chance in his next life due to his sincere efforts in this life. That means sincere efforts, not half-cooked efforts. Today, what we see in our society where people are just taking devotional life as some fun activity or some hobby, this kind of devotional service is not going to guarantee a human birth. In the sense that one may get another birth, but one will easily forget spiritual life also. For example, many times we see that devotees come to temple and they look, oh, that Mataji is looking so beautiful, that Prabhu is so nice, and then they have affairs and other things. This is not a sincere effort. If one has tried very sincerely in bhakti and then failed, very sincerely, like we see the example of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was very sincere in his devotion, but in the end, he fell down. And how did he fall down? He saw a baby deer about to die. This was not some ordinary fall down. Maharaj Bharat saw this baby deer drowning in water because its mother had died. And he was immediately put in a dilemma. Because by the virtue of being a sannyasi, should he just ignore everything, let the nature take its course, and continue his meditation on the Supreme? Or, as a gentleman, he should rescue this helpless animal. So, out of compassion, which is natural to a devotee, he, he picked up this baby from the water and saved it. And his misfortune was that this baby deer was very helpless. So, he had to take care of it. And by taking care of this baby deer, eventually Bharat Maharaj became attached to it. ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसा संगस्तेषु भजायते. He developed attachment. And gradually his meditation on the Supreme became replaced by his meditation on the baby deer. And unfortunately for him, before the baby deer grew up and left its body, his time came. And instead of thinking of the Supreme Lord, he was thinking of the deer. And therefore he had to take the body of a deer. But now you see, his consciousness was fixed on deer, so he had to take the body of a deer. But like Krishna says, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, tyajyat ante kalevaram tam tam iveti kaunteya sada tad bhavita. So his consciousness was fixed on the deer, but also he had done devotional service to the Lord. Therefore, he could revive his divine consciousness even in the body of a deer. Now, this is the rider. Bharat Maharaj was a great devotee. Maharaj was no ordinary soul. He was the son of the Supreme Lord, Shri Rishabdev. And he was the leader of all his brothers. His 11 brothers were the great Nimis, the great sages. So he was not an ordinary soul. So therefore, his birth was divine, his activities were divine. In the end, he made a small mistake for which he had to take another birth. He could revive his consciousness because of his overall divine life in the previous birth. But there is no such condition for us. I can safely say that none of us has had any divine life. What is our consciousness? We've been fixed on so many unclean things in this birth itself. So if our effort is not sincere, Krishna will reward us for our devotional service in terms of great wealth. And then Srila Prabhupada warns that if we take such a birth, there is every chance that we may become spoiled. He says, like usually we see the sons of rich men, they become, wine drinkers or woman hunters. And in this way, their lives are spoiled. There's a great possibility. For example, in this life, if you have maintained some kind of attachment to the opposite sex, in the next birth you will be given like almost a heavenly amount of pleasure in that dimension. You will be surrounded by beautiful men and beautiful women. How will you then think of the Supreme Lord? Why is Mahaprabhu saying na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaye? No, I don't want wealth. Na dhanam na janam. I don't want any wealth, na janam, or any followers, or knowledge, or beautiful women, because all of these are just stumbling blocks. All of these. So these will pollute our consciousness and they'll allow us to degrade ourselves further and further. If you have some attachment to wealth and you are born in a rich family, how will you give it up? You have to develop, I'm not saying practice. You have to develop that renunciation in this birth itself so that in the next birth you are pure. So it's a very dangerous situation. That's why here, you know, that's why here it is said the killer of the soul. The killer of the soul. One must, it kills the soul. Any kind of material attachment is enough to drag us down. Bharat Maharaj was saved by his long life of devotional service. One mistake in the end dragged him down. We have a long life of sinful habits and we have done a little bit of devotional service. So, what kind of birth we may probably take? If we speculate, you see so many people come to our temple. I know there's one man who comes to our temple. He's a very big personality in Finland. He's a very rich man of Finland. But he comes to the temple just to see, oh, what's going on. Ah, these people are poor. And then he goes back. I love challenges in my profession. And then he goes away. This is the most foolish thing. He has some interest in Krishna consciousness, but more interest in material life. And because he's living in such a sinful place like Finland, he'll be degraded very soon. That little bit of interest he has in Krishna consciousness will be taken away in the next birth, where he'll attain another rich birth, but very little attraction to Krishna. See, when we say yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, whatever state of being you are remembering now, that will continue in the next birth. So if today there's a nuclear explosion and we are all evaporated, in the next birth we'll be born with the same consciousness that we have now. The objects of our attachment may change. If I like some white girl, I may probably like some black girl. But that attraction of male female will still remain there to the same extent that I have in this birth. Therefore, we have to purify our consciousness in this birth by constantly chanting the names of the Supreme Lord. Doesn't matter whether you are chanting Hare Krishna or you are chanting the names of Jesus or anything, but you have to do it continuously. You know, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That's it. That's for us. Nothing else. We will not be able to experience separation from Krishna or anything right now. Whatever state of being we have right now, which is polluted, we have to purify that by continuously chanting the names of Krishna. It gets saved, yes. Hare Krishna, but doesn't spiritual progress, even small, get saved for the next incarnations? It does get saved, but you don't know what incarnation you will get. In this birth, if you are, like, for example, you have chanted some holy names, but you are attracted to women. Next birth, you are given in some heavenly planet, say Gandharva Lok. Now, in this material world, I mean, in this Bhulok in which we live, women are okay. They're not very good looking and they are very smelly and dirty. In Gandharva Lok, they are divine. Women, like it is mentioned in Shrimad Bhagavatam, when they take bath in the rivers become perfumed. If you are in the association surrounded by such women, how will you think of Krishna? Their voices, it is said in Gandharva Lok, these women, their voices are melodious, musical. 90% of women on earth sing like donkeys. But in this planet, they sing like they are divine themselves. Their bodies are perfumed. All of them look beautiful. And their voices are divine. And they know how to cook. They know how to sing. They know everything. They are well endowed with all divine qualities. But they are not pure devotees. They are engaged in heavenly enjoyments. How will you think of Krishna then? Where will be the question of thinking of Krishna? Because there is some piety we have acquired by chanting of the holy names. That piety will be expended there. And then we'll be forced to take birth. You know, uh, Punaravartino Arjuna. Kshine punya marte lokam vishanti. Again, we'll have to take birth here. Again, birth, old age, disease, and death. Again, suffering. And there is no question. We don't know how our consciousness will go. We see so many instances of Indra committing sinful activities. We may become impelled to engage in sinful activities because even if it's heaven, it's still material world. So even a little bit of service, even a little bit of devotional service gets saved. But we do not know. Srila Prabhupada warns that you may have to take millions of births to perfect that spiritual life. Because in every life, there will be some stumbling blocks. So, as far as possible, within this life, try to finish. Within this life, try to finish the spiritual activities. Otherwise, other births, we do not know what will happen there because unknowingly, we have committed so many sinful activities. That reaction is also existing. To the extent we think of Krishna, to that extent we are purified. To the extent we are thinking of material nature, to that extent we are liable for our sinful activities also. You know, we may be very pious and we may have done something sinful here. So we may take birth as a beggar in Vrindavan. That may not be very pleasant. I have met so many Brajvasis who were so eager to come with me to Bombay. I remember long ago, I met a boy. He was a priest. He was the son of a priest of a very famous temple in Vrindavan. And we were just talking, and he said, "Oh, so Prabhu, where do you live?" I said, "Oh, I live in Bombay." And he said, "Oh, what do you do in Bombay?" I said, I work with Star TV, which is, this Disney Fox. And his eyes went big. He said, oh, please take me to Bombay with you and make me a film hero. So I said, well, sorry, I can't do that because I don't work in the movie industry. I'm just a numbers guy. I just crunch numbers in an office. So he became very disappointed. He used to call me, Hare Krishna Prabhu, how is it going? So, any meeting with some director or producer of some movie. So you see, that does even a birth in Vrindavan doesn't guarantee that you will be thinking of Krishna all the time. So better not finish because Krishna is fulfilling our desires. If we have dirty material desires, Krishna will fulfill it. So we need to be very careful. We need to be very careful. We should think that this birth is the most valuable and only birth we have to finish this spiritual life. Otherwise, we may get lost. If we think, okay, let's leave something for the next birth, we are running a great danger. Somehow or the other, we have been lucky to meet Srila Prabhupada here. We may have to take birth in heavenly planets or go to some hellish planets and travel around here and there, fulfilling all our desires and suffering. Because suffering is the only way with which we are able to give up our desire. Like just like Prabhupada says that this like if you eat something spicy, then you understand that this is miserable, then you are able to give up that desire. Like a person gets married, this vivaha sanskar. What does that mean? A person undergoes the purificatory rite of marriage, which sanctifies sexual union, and by living in that union, he suffers so many miseries. Married life is full of miseries. First of all, one has to sustain one's own living. A brahmachari, a sannyasi, or a vanprasth can simply beg and eat. But grihastha is not allowed to do that. Grihasthas have to work very hard for their daily sustenance. Then a grihastha has to take the responsibility of wife and children. Then he has to perform so many sacrificial acts and take care of the renunciates. Through all these activities, he understands how miserable this life is. So he becomes detached and becomes a vanaprastha. And then eventually sannyasi and leaves this world. So that means the enjoyment is accompanied by some suffering, which leads us to purification from the desire to enjoy. So if we have any desire in this life, that desire will be purified in a most painful way. So if we leave something for the next birth, we are leaving some pain also for the next birth. So we should not do that. As far as possible, try sincerely to purify yourself in this birth itself. Otherwise, we do not know. We do not know. Because Srila Prabhupada himself is warning in the Bhagavad Gita. But someone who gives up spiritual life, it's okay, who does this, let it be. Such a person is considered a killer of the soul. Because human birth is athato brahma jigyasa, when to realize spiritual life. If one neglects it, human birth itself will be taken away. So many times I've heard people say, oh, I want to be born as a tiger, such a powerful, majestic creature. Tiger is a miserable creature. As a human being, at least you can eat some chapatis and sabji every day. But a tiger has to eat only once a week or once a month. Sometimes not even that. As a human being, when you are old, someone will take care of you. But when a tiger is old, other tigers simply try to kill it. And they die miserable death because their teeth fall off, they can't eat, they starve to death. So it's a miserable existence. Same is applicable to snakes or eagles or whales or any other creature. So animal form of life is extremely miserable. So jivasya tattva jigyasa anartho yasheha karma bhi. So long as you are in the human form, only desire you should keep is to remember the Supreme. Kamasya nendriya pritir. Labho jivet yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa anartho yasheha karma bhi. So do not turn your desires to material enjoyment. Turn your desires to only the Supreme Lord. Whatever little bit of enjoyment you want, Krishna has allowed that. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu. So yes, work a little bit, sustain yourself, do whatever comes easily. Yuktahar, yukta vihar, eat little bit, sanction prasadam, little bit of entertainment, that's all right. That's the need of the mind. You can go and play some football game and come back and chant Hare Krishna. Not that you become a football fanatic. Hmm. Okay. So, taking all this in account, what is actually an effect if a person or population eats prasadam and repeats Mahamantra at least once? They'll get another human birth where they'll get a chance to eat more prasadam and chant more. They will be saved from the imminent danger of becoming animals. But if they do not purify themselves after taking this opportunity, there will be more suffering in store. So one may take birth as a devotee. For example, there is a story of devotees who were born in Soviet Union. They had to suffer a lot because the Soviet Union was very strict. So these devotees had to suffer. So yes, if someone is very sinful, takes some prasad or chants mantra, he will get a very good opportunity to become a devotee. But if a devotee takes this process of bhakti lightly, okay, I am already saved, then Krishna will make the situation so unbearable that one is forced to surrender. So one should not take this process lightly that, okay, in the next birth I'll continue. We do not know what next birth would be like. It can be very unpleasant also. Because if we are not 100% surrendered devotees, see, we are 100% surrendered to Krishna or to Maya or to Krishna and Maya. So if our surrender is 50-50, 50 to Krishna, 50 to Maya, so Krishna will give us devotional service, but 50% of Maya will make us suffer also. Krishna bhuli sei jivanadi mahir mukha, ateva Maya tare deya sansara dukha. To the proportion we are forgetting Krishna, to that proportion we'll get miseries also in this life. There are devotees in this world. Do they not suffer from birth, old age, disease, and death? So, if someone is suffering from kidney failure or liver failure, the pain is the same as a non devotee. It's not that devotee gets a pass. Okay, less pain. Your heart attack will be less painful. No, heart attack will pain the same for a devotee or a demon. So, why should a devotee subject himself to this condition? He knows I have made a mistake by coming to this world. Now I don't want to be here. That's why Mahaprabhu says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. So I don't want any of this. This is not the cause of my misery. But one who neglects devotional service, then there must be suffering. This is applicable even to neophyte devotees who come to devotional service and then they give up. This condition that we are talking about is applicable to sincere devotees. Yoga Bhrashta, which we talked about, sixth chapter of Gita, is applicable to sincere devotees who tried hard but somehow failed because of some problem. So the question is, we have to interact with Maya daily, even if we think of Krishna all the time. So taking sin is inevitable. Yes, it is inevitable. If your boat is sinking, you try to swim. You don't say, okay, it's all right, I am drowning, what to do? No, you try, you fight. Maya is death. Maya is no fun. Don't think that it is light. Otherwise, you are exposing yourself to great danger. You are interacting with Maya, try to minimize it. Yes, I mean, I know if you're, say, for example, fixing cars and some half naked girl comes to fix his car with you, don't look at her. Don't try to contact her. Oh, hello, madam. How's your car now? No, forget it. Just fix the car and move on. Let her take it and be off with it. Okay, Haribol. If we try to interact with Maya, Maya is more than happy to interact with us. This is her domain. Nikatestha Maya Tara Japatiya Dhare. Krishnera Bahirmukh Haya Bhogvancha Kare. This is what Mahaprabhu is explaining. Krishnera Bahirmukh Haya Bhogvancha Kare. Actually, we desire to enjoy. That's why Maya captures us. That's why Maya captures us. If we don't desire, then Maya can do nothing to us. Like I've given this example many times. It is quoted from one of the Dharma Shastras that like a beautiful woman, in the eyes of a dog, she's a piece of meat. In the eyes of a chandal, she's just a body. Chandal, one who performs these funeral rites. In the eyes of a chandal, she's just a dead body. In the eyes of a brahmana, she's just a soul. And in the eyes of a lusty man, she's an object of enjoyment. It is just the same object, but there are four different angles of vision. So we just need to change our angle of vision. Hmm. This material world is what it is. It is created by the Supreme Lord for His pleasure. We are like renters or intruders here. We have to adjust our vision. Highway belongs to cars and trucks. If we are knocked down on the highway while we are trying to cross it, illegally, there will be no action taken against the driver because that's his place. So this is the place for Maya, Maithunyagar. It is our duty to save ourselves. What would be the ideal Grihastha life, or what does day to day look like for an ideal Grihastha? Hmm. See, Grihastha means Grahastha. Grahe rahi Krishna nama nirantar laiba. This is the definition of a Grihastha. One who lives and just tries to expand his home life is called a Graha Medhi. Graha means home, Medhi means intelligence. One who only thinks of home, home, home all the time. Oh, nice decoration, big house, big car, beautiful wife, beautiful children. That's a Graha Medhi. Such a person is living an animal life. One should try to minimize it. Okay, home means home. Okay, simple, clean home, nice home. Whatever my needs are, they are fulfilled. But not that I buy a palatial house and then I'm decorating it like White House of US and buying 10 cars to satisfy my desires. That is atyahar. Atyahara prayasascha. So prayas, because atyahar requires prayas. Ati ahar, taking too much, more than what we require, and then working very hard to achieve it. That's grahamedhi. That's animal. So ideal day-to-day life means just perform your duties. Get up in the morning, purify yourself, chant the holy names, wake up the deities, worship the deities, take care of your duties. Husband, child, give them nice food, speak some nice words, and that's it. Then engage in Krishna service. Your day should begin with Krishna's service. It should have Krishna's service in the middle and it should end with Krishna's service. After waking up, first thing, without even getting out of bed, just offer obeisances to your spiritual master. Then get up, purify yourself, chant the holy names. Offer prayers to the spiritual master and the acharyas, Mangal Arati, Guru Puja. Wake up the deities, offer some nice bhog to deities. Take your food, give food to your family. As soon as they are satisfied, send them to their business. Then engage in devotional service again, or just do some job that you're supposed to do. Then throughout the day, think of your job and the Supreme Lord. In the evening, again the same routine. Just give some food, just some kind words. Then again think of Krishna. And before sleeping, offer obeisances to the spiritual master. Dhyayans tuams tasya yashastri sandhyam. You glorify the spiritual Lord, the spiritual master 3 times a day. So your day begins with Krishna, it ends with Krishna. This family is just a nuisance in between. I'm being very frank here. The family life is literally just a stumbling block on the path of self realization. Your husband, your child, your wife, whatever they may be, they are just instruments of Maya. Your duty, because you are attached to them, your duty is to serve them. If you have a car, you need to take it for service also. You have to fill it with petrol. You can't just go on enjoying the driving but not taking care. So you can't go on enjoying family life without taking care. So this is the care you take. But your intelligence should be with family, but your heart should be with Krishna. Hmm. Does that answer all the questions? Yes, Anand Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, in conclusion, that of course it's a very interesting situation that you are describing. That um, we have to strive for 100% Krishna consciousness, and which is itself mentioned that it's almost. I wouldn't say impossible to achieve, but it's very difficult to achieve. And Prabhupada himself mentions that it can take millions of lives, thousands of lives. So, and then we strive to achieve it. In one life. And then if we do that fanatically or without care, without considerations, that can be dangerous, because it would be same example as if you would have to run 1 kilometer within 10 seconds. Well, good luck. Like that wouldn't be so simple. So it's a little bit confusing situation here.
Yes. See, this is a very dangerous situation. We are padam padam yat vipadam. Every step we are living in danger. Maya is mental, Maya is physical, Maya is at the level of intelligence, Maya is acting everywhere. That's why, Bhagavad Gita must be studied scrutinizingly, again and again, over and over, backwards and forwards. See, we are in a very dangerous situation. And we should also realize that every birth is going to be the same position. If now I am struggling with my mind and lust, next birth will be the same again. In some births, I have to wake up and shut this down. It's like a problem that doesn't go away. It's like a loan. If I don't repay this loan, it comes back with interest. It's like a bad credit card. You know, to the other one. Yeah, I keep on postponing every month. I have to keep on paying, and interest also keeps coming. So why take that chance? So this sinful reaction that we are committing in this birth will come back with interest. Next birth, we'll have to pay for this sin, but another interest in another form of birth, old age, disease, and death. So how much should we go on suffering like this? An intelligent man should say, okay, now enough is enough. I try it now. That is called sincere effort. You may not be able to do it, but at least you have put all your heart and soul into it. Try your best. Try your best to get out of it now, because next birth will be still the same. Again, birth, old age, disease, and death. You are young right now. As you grow older, you'll see many miseries of this life. You'll see the death of your own parents. You'll see your own health deteriorating. You'll see you're not able to digest food properly. You're not able to see properly. Your hearing is not proper. You're haunted by the memories of your past. All these are miseries of old age. They will also come. And then you'll think, oh my God, I should have practiced Krishna consciousness nicely. And then you'll say, okay, next birth I'll do it. Next birth, again the same thing. Again, beautiful girls, again, beautiful cars, again, some more money. Okay, I'll do it in the next birth. Again, the suffering. And this suffering will keep on perpetuating. So, right now, you have the facility of Srila Prabhupada. Just use it and finish it off. We don't really know next birth when we'll meet again Srila Prabhupada. I know for sure that it's very difficult for me to meet Srila Prabhupada again in some other birth. So, like, I wouldn't want to take that chance. So, it's a very, very dangerous situation. If you see the fear of this material world, then you will become sincere. If you think this material world is an enjoyable place, then this sincerity will never come. So, right now, don't try to meditate too much on Krishna, but try to meditate on the miseries of this material world. Then automatically you'll think of Krishna. Then you'll realize that only Krishna can save you.
Hare Krishna, yeah, the miseries are quite clear, actually, I have to say, and I have a feeling that I've seen all of this before, like in the previous incarnations. It's just like a weird feeling from childhood, actually, like very early it started. But the thing
Nice.
is that there is also a problem with this. I cannot describe it so well, but basically that if we are waiting until we are 100% Krishna consciousness, like in that consciousness, 100%, we might be actually stopping our own progress, for example, in possibly distribution of prasadam to other, to distribution of knowledge, to preaching. So then if we are only focusing on that target, we might die without even achieving the target, but we might die in the forest of Vrindavan chanting alone. And that we don't make so much benefit for Krishna if his desire is to take all of the souls to spiritual world. Then that can be immobilizing. That need to be taken, not to be taken lightly. Also, the strive for 100% of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, nice question. So, Prabhu, let's take the analogy of your profession. Imagine you want, like, a taxi driver comes to you and says, this is my profession and this is my service, to take passengers from one place to another. But you notice that the car has one flat tire, oil is leaking, the radiator is blown, and the belt is also slipping. So you'll say, okay, my dear sir, at least fix your car first. Get the tires filled up, seal the radiator, change the belt, and fill up the oil. Then you can drive the car. Then the service can be done. Okay, you need not drive a Ferrari as a taxi, but at least a second-hand Toyota Yaris still is needed. So to preach Krishna consciousness, we must be serviceable. As devotees, we must be serviceable devotees at least. Not that I have, like, so many times it has happened within our own movement also that, spiritual masters ended up having sex with their own disciples. So at least that level of purity we should have, that, okay, this Mataji has taken my shelter. I should not at least have lusty feelings for her. Getting my point. So we must be at least at some standard of spiritual service. spiritual purity before we can start preaching. Otherwise, Maya will chew us up because Maya will test us. Trust me, Maya will test us. Prabhu, I can assure you, in the last 30 years of my being in ISKCON, in devotional service, I have seen many such things. One devotee, of course, many devotees became victims of women. Okay, brahmacharis were preaching, and Mataji was serving. Eventually, Prabhuji married Mataji. In another case, one Prabhuji liked the Mataji so much, he got her divorced and then married her. In another case, one Prabhuji, actually, this was a Maharajji, who started having internet sex with his disciples. I mean, we are in a close group of devotees, so I'm telling you all of this. These are practical instances. And this Maharaj still has illicit sex online because he can't do it physically, or maybe he does it, but then does we don't know. But this is a recorded fact. This is related to women. Another devotee. So this is a very gross fall down I'm talking about. Now I'm talking about more subtle fall down. There are few more devotees I know, and I used to know them personally. These devotees became too much enamored by their own fame. Oh, Prabhuji is so knowledgeable. Prabhuji speaks so nicely. So this Prabhuji went and did a course in public speaking, and he speaks nonsense on YouTube now. You can check him out. He's one of the most popular speakers of ISKCON. He speaks lifestyle management. He lives in a five-star hotel. He charges some 300,000 rupees per session, and he speaks garbage. Nonsense he speaks. But he just dresses in ISKCON so that people think he's an ISKCONite. So this is excessive fame, polluted by excessive fame. Kanaka Kamini Pratishtha. So I have talked about Kamini and Pratishtha. Kanak also. Some devotees started getting money from their followers, and then they became very rich, and then they just took one of our own sannyasis. He took away €1 million and ran away. This happened many years ago. He just took €1 million and just ran away. He was also in charge in Russia. Your parents might be knowing him very much. He was in charge of Russia and Northern Europe. So that also happened. This was money. And then the more subtle and more dangerous fall down, which I have seen very much with my own eyes, fall down due to knowledge. Brahmacharis acquiring so much knowledge that they become proud of their knowledge. They start minimizing their own spiritual master. They start minimizing Srila Prabhupada. I know so much. And I have seen it in personal interactions. These brahmacharis will say, oh, I just asked them, Prabhuji, can you give reference for this particular thing you spoke? Oh, well, I used to read from here. But you can't read all of this. I know this is my habit. I can read so many scriptures, but you can't do all of that. A sure sign that a brahmachari is now going to fall down. Pride in knowledge. Saraswati Devi ji quietly steps back and Durga Mata quietly takes over and starts feeding more and more knowledge. And the brahmachari, the sannyasi, or the grahastha who's acquiring this scriptural knowledge becomes more and more proud of his accomplishment. And the end result? Massive fall down. Either the devotee becomes an impersonalist or he just falls down. Because one devotee I knew was like a pandit, he was like a great scholar. He's now working for a political party. Another great scholar, Brahmachari I knew, he's also on the way to fall down now. Too much pride over his knowledge. So you see, there are many pitfalls. Actually, after we finish Isopanishad, I would like to start with the Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion, where we talk about all these dangerous pitfalls, subtle pitfalls in the path of bhakti. One needs to be very, very careful. So, please attain a degree of stability in bhakti, then start preaching. Otherwise, there are great dangers here. So, if you do want to start preaching, and there is no restriction, at any stage you can start preaching, my advice to you would be you set up a table and start selling books first. It's very austere. It's very, very austere. Your false ego gets shattered. In my years of selling books, I have been insulted more times than I have been praised. Many people have made fun of me, they have insulted me, they have tried to steal from me. It's been a very austere experience. Our Anandram Prabhu here, he has also been with me. We have done book distribution many, many years in Bombay. It's very austere. It's mentally exhausting, it's physically exhausting. You become very sick. Everything happens. So start with that. But it's excellent for your spiritual life. You learn the value of humility. because people humiliate you.
You understand?
And people will challenge you. I remember once I was in Bombay and one Christian preacher came. I want to challenge you here in front of public. I said, please come. He said, okay, maybe not now. I said, okay, when do you want? He said, when would you like? I said, okay, come tomorrow, day after, or whenever you feel like. Please come. This Christian preacher, he was with the Bible in his hand. And then he came after 2 days. I called him. I said, hey, mister, please come here, father. And he just said, no, it's all right. Thank you. I'm going. I have debated with Muslim Maulvis all on the streets. People are listening. We were debating with a Muslim, but they were happy. They were all happy. So it's a mixed bag, but it's like you get purified. So start with that, and then we can talk about other things later. Right? Okay, then we stop here today. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.